innovation and cooperation among local governments and their constituents in both pre- and post-disaster activities. Beyond these initiatives, what's important is sustained action by all, since the occurrence of certain extreme hazard events are difficult to predict. In conclusion, let me say that disasters have staggering impact on the economy and lasting effects on the lives of people. We have seen how even the most advanced countries like Japan are not spared from massive destruction. The forces of nature are the most difficult to contend with, but apart from technical abilities, it is the human spirit that has helped many countries cope and rise above the devastation. The Philippines has learned from past disasters, and we have taken steps to mitigate their negative impacts. I am glad that the Global Assessment Report affirms that our DRM initiatives are in the right direction. Thank you very much, and good morning.
Thank you very much, Secretary Legarda. We would now like to call on Undersecretary Benito Ramos of the NDRRMC to give us a report on risk information and early warning dissemination.
Honorable Senator Loren Legarda, the Regional Champion on Disaster Risk Reduction and Climate Change Adaptation for Asia Pacific. Thank you for inviting me back. Secretary Cayetano Padilla, Secretary of the Economic Planning and Director General NEDA, Mr. Andrew Markey, Coordinating Lead Author, Global Assessment Report 2011, Dr. Jerry Velasquez, Senior Regional Coordinator for Asia and the Pacific, UNISDR, members of the Diplomatic Corps, fellow workers in government, ladies and gentlemen. My scope of our presentation follows these segments. Republic Act 10121, otherwise known as the DRRM Act of 2010, the legal framework of DRR in the Philippines, and DRRMC composition and network, the OCD, Office of Civil Defense, and NDRRMC Operation Center, Disaster Risk Information and Early Warning Dissemination. I should not belabor on what the Republic Act 10121 because Senator Legarda is more knowledgeable, she being one of the principal authors of this Republic Act. But for purposes of our foreign guest here, please allow me to go through it. The law which transforms the Philippines disaster management system from disaster relief and response towards disaster risk reduction have this system: bottom-up and participatory disaster risk reduction. Disaster mainly a reflection of people's vulnerability and integrated approach to genuine social and human development to reduce disaster risk. Republic Act 10121 is a constitutional right to life and property by addressing the root causes of vulnerability to disasters and strengthening institutional capacity for DRRM and building resilience of local communities to disasters, including climate change impacts. Adherence to and adoption of universal norms, principles, and standards. Adoption of holistic, comprehensive, integrated DRRM approach to lessen the socio-economic and environmental impacts of disaster, including climate change. And the adoption and implementation of coherent, comprehensive, and integrated, efficient, and responsive DRR program. It is all about mainstreaming DRR and climate change adaptation and mitigation and development processes, and mainstreaming DRR into the peace process and conflict resolution. Ensuring that DRR and climate change measures are gender responsive, sensitive to indigenous knowledge systems and cultures, and rights-based. And recognizing local risk patterns and strengthen LGU capacity through decentralized powers. And engaging the participation of civil society organization, private sector, and volunteers towards complementation of resources and effective service delivery. We go now to the structure of the NDRRMC of how we are organized in order to contain a problem, be it natural disaster or human-induced disaster. We have the Secretary of National Defense as the chairperson with 4 vice chairpersons. And pursuant to Republic Act 10121, it is composed of this vice chairperson and his 4 vice chairpersons, DOST, DILG, DSWD, and NECA, with 39 member agencies, including representatives from the civil society organization and 1 from the private sector. The inclusion of the civil society organization and private sector encourages the forging of public-private partnership, engaging all stakeholders to cooperate and be united in the implementation of DRR in all aspects. This slide is the structure of the National Council, which is replicated at the regional level. From the regional level, local DRRMCs, provincial, city, municipal levels have their own councils formed and chaired by their local chief executives. At the barangay level, the BDRRM committee is assumed by the existing Barangay Development Council. On risk information and early warnings functions of NDRRMC, Section 6 of Republic Act 10121 tasks the NDRRMC to ensure a multi-stakeholder participation in the development, updating, and sharing of DRRM information system. Establish a national early warning and emergency alert system, among others. The Office of Civil Defense. NDRRMC, in the discharge of its functions, utilizes and facilitates the services of the Office of Civil Defense. The OCD is the operating arm and the secretariat of the NDRRMC. And the Office of Civil Defense mission is to administer a comprehensive national civil defense and civil assistance program by providing leadership in the continuous development of measures to reduce risk to communities and manage the consequences of disasters. It likewise executes and monitors implementation of NDRRMC policies and programs. The next slide. May I go now direct to the NDRRM Operation Center core functions as the meat of my presentation. The NDRRMC option, given its limitations in some areas, achieves its mission by continuously improving on its core functions on alert and monitoring, multi-agency operational coordination, response resource mobilization, information management, program coordination for operations capability upgrade. On alert and monitoring, we provide early warning and then monitor the probable consequences of potential ongoing and past disasters or emergency situations. Alert available response needs and monitor the transition from emergency response to relief to recovery phase. Next slide. On operational coordination, as far as the operational coordination is concerned, the NDRRMC OPSEC coordinates pre-disaster and post-disaster operational activities being undertaken by relevant agencies. In initiates and leads the conduct of multi-agency damage and needs assessment mission as the post-disaster situation warrants. May I now go direct to response resources mobilization. Slides. For the response resource mobilization functions, the NDRRMC maintains an updated database of all available response resources in the country, and assist in the formulation of mobilization, standard operating procedures for the response resources and operational support arrangement, and facilitates the conduct of more post-mobilization debriefing for all units deployed and utilized. On information management, in terms of this management, the NDRRMC maintains an updated database of relevant baseline information, collects, collates, validates, analyzes information, and undertakes appropriate steps to be taken based on pre-delegated tasks and responsibilities, and documents all past disaster situations to include a review of the pre- and post-disaster activities undertaken by all key actors, and maintains a database of these documents. May I now skip on my presentation to go to the further meeting, and this is the NDRRMC Ops and information flow for better understanding. The NDRRMC information flow shows how bulletins and information from the surveillance agencies are processed and evolved into NDRRMC advisories, SITREPs, or reverse SITREPs, and official disaster reports. The process information from the NDRRMC Operations Center are also the triggers for appropriate response or actions to be taken by the lower DCCs. NDRRMC often processes warning alert, advisories and bulletins coming from the surveillance agencies such as FIVOX for geophysical hazards, PAGASA for the hydrometeorological hazards, the Armed Forces of the Philippines for terrorism, the Philippine National Police for civil disturbance, Department of Agriculture for pest infestation, Philippine Nuclear Research Institute for radiological and nuclear, and prepares memo and submit report to chairperson NDRRMC through the executive director NDRRMC. Simultaneously, send NDRRMC advisory to deliver DRRMCs through the local OCDs concerned for information and monitoring of the situation caused by hazards. NDRRMC consolidates situational updates and activities of the actions taken by the member agencies and regional centers affected, and consequently prepares memo for the chairperson NDRRMC. What are the tools that we use to effectively carry out all the operational activities of NDRRMC Operations Center? The existing information and communication technology systems are being used. Next slide. The NDRRMC warning and alert system is a redundant system that effectively disseminates the information from NDRRMC warning agencies in the form of alerts and bulletins. It is designed to provide real-time information that will ensure timely precautionary measures and emergency response operations. This slide shows the existing alert and warning communication system from national level down to barangay level, with each member's agencies responding with full efforts to all emergency situations. This slide, second slide please, shows the NDRRMC coordination structures. It shows the lateral and vertical coordination that is being executed before, during, and after emergencies or disaster response operations. Next slide please. NDRRMC have also advisories and situational reports that are uploaded into NDRRMC website. Next slide. The Operations Center has also established a communication network using the internet. And there is also, next slide please, the short messaging system, SMS, or text NDRRMC, which aims to enhance the existing NDRRMC National Warning and Alert System. Text and the RRMC can be accessed through cell phone number 0917-891-6322. We also have a, next slide, Geographical Information System or GIS, which is also utilized to integrate spatial and tabular data from different sources. This system can store, retrieve, analyze, and manipulate data which can be presented in the form of maps, tables, and charts. It provides an effective tool in decision making to query and analyze relevant data and information. Next slide. We have also a satellite-based communication, SATCOM, capability on voice, text messaging, fax, and internet access that can be used when commercial telecommunication and power services are cut off and damaged by disaster. There is also an emergency satellite communication system to further expedite communications during disasters and emergencies. If all of this will back down for any reason, we will now use the last defense of communication using the armed forces, the old outmoded GRC-9, International Morse Code, dididadi, dog, didada. I can communicate down to the barangay level. Thank you very much. Mabuhay.
Thank you very much, Yusek Ramos. We now pass on the moderation of the open forum to Senator Loren.
Thank you. I was supposed to ask one question each, but because of limited time, I can ask him in private anyway, and I don't want to hog the limelight because you came here to ask your questions. First, representing Congress, may we hear from Congressman Mel Sarmiento? And just to prepare so that he knows he will ask a question, one of the leading co-authors of the IPCC International Panel on climate change, okay, Dr. Rodel Lasco of the World Agroforestry Center will also, hopefully, is prepared to ask a question. Representing the LGUs of a very vulnerable city which was hit by Ondoy and Pepeng, Mayor Del de Guzman. All of those who want to ask questions of Secretary Padaranga or the UNISDR may email Dr. Jerry Velasquez. Please give your email before we close today. And we recognize Secretary David Gozun. You've been here? Yes, thank you. May we hear from Mel, who just arrived from Incheon, Korea, with a group of lower house members. Thank you.
Yes, we were very impressed with what we saw in South Korea, how they are able to somewhat mainstream their initiatives in relation to addressing climate change issues, as well as we have got to see actually in Congress, in the House, you specifically stated that the national government is trying to mainstream in all the planning stages of whatever programs you have in government. But sad to say, we haven't seen that in the budget hearing we had last year. We do hope that in this forthcoming budget hearing, we would like to hear from the cabinet members a very clear, not only a very clear roadmap of what the department intends to accomplish in the next 5 years, as well as its corresponding scorecard. But we likewise want to see the particular activities that the department is supposed to implement, and for them to somewhat integrate the climate change law with the DRRM law, so that we'll be able to somewhat reduce economic loss in the country. Do we expect that, Mr. Secretary, in the forthcoming budget hearing?
Thank you very much, Congressman. We actually have been working very hard on that. We have reactivated, for example, the Philippine Council for Sustainable Development. It's already become very active. It meets regularly. But to address your question directly, the disaster risk reduction and climate change adaptation mainstreaming is found in several parts of government. The initiative, for example, on addressing the whole water sector by putting up a water sector development plan, as well as looking at the building codes, so that and the construction guidelines is found in the infrastructure committee of the NEDE board. The mainstreaming of requirements on DRR and CCA as requirements in the project approval process is found in the ICC as well. Here, all the agencies, of course, are included. But I think what we will try to do, Your Honor, is we will try to get all of this and prepare a report for Congress. Clearly, it's not going to be comprehensive or complete enough, but we have already started the work.
You know, I've been the local chief executive for 9 years, but we have to see that we should be able to walk the talk.
Yes.
Especially, even as we design our school buildings, we don't have a standard that we're basically using that's compliant to the building code. At the same time, is able to build hopefully a disaster resilient school building. The bridges that we build nowadays, that we still have to retrofit a good number of bridges. We don't even have a roadmap on how we're going to address this. And an honest to goodness study of water systems that we have in the country, for us to be able to identify and prioritize the bridges that we're supposed to probably reconstruct. I heard the DPWH now is trying to use a long span in trying to, of course we have to implement the overloading law at the same time for us to be able to prevent floodings and disasters to happen. But we really would want to see a very detailed plan from the national government this time. In the forthcoming budget hearing, we'll be there to try to scrutinize the budget, expect us to raise a good number of questions for us to really see in detail. Motherhood statement kasi palagi sana naman ngayong panahon detalyado paano natin ma-address.
Yeah, we are trying to address that.
And closer collaboration with national and local governments, of course.
Very good, Mel. That means we will have an ally, many allies now in the lower house. Yes, actually, it's not just this administration, to be fair. Even past administrations would always say, whether it's a DA budget, the health budget, it's always climate adaptive, disaster resilient. But when you look at it, it's not. It's more of the same. Yes, but we will hopefully have something better for the 2012 budget. We acknowledge the Vice Chair of the Climate Change Commission, Commissioner Lucille Serene. Has the President approved the National Action Plan? Just yes or no? Have you presented it to the President?
Yes.
And not yet approved? Waiting for the approval. Has the President convened the Climate Change Commission as Chairman? Yes or no?
We already issued instructions
to
convene the commission.
To convene it, please.
But there's already a cabinet cluster on
climate change. Yeah.
Which allows us to integrate it more. And just to update, ma'am, and to answer partly the question of Congressman Sarmiento.
Stan.
Thank you. And Lucille, we are really pushing for vulnerability assessment at the initial stage. And you're right, sir. The thing is, we don't have any basis. When we come up with a program, we don't know our vulnerability is. So we might not just be doing programs that are not addressing the real issue. One of the things we'd like to announce, of course, is that the President and the DBM gave us an additional budget to allow us to do a vulnerability assessment. In that sense, we know what the problem will be, what kind of mitigation strategies we will do, what kind of adaptation strategy we'll do, and this will be a very good step. And this kind of integration will now allow us to work closely with the
With these two women advising the President, no, Bebet and Lucille, we know that the President, and we hope that the President will convene it soon. Lucille, I'm sure you will not be lacking in nagging the President to convene it soon. Are you done with your question? We have three more. Yes.
We passed the resolution. The group from
you passed the resolution?
Hoping that the President will finally convene the...
After the SONA, I'm sure he will do that soon.
And we're
Commissioner Serene and the Secretary Gozi will take care of that. Yes.
If I can add, we actually, NEDA and DBM, just to complete it, are working on putting into implementing what's known as the results management matrix, which will implement the OP of DBM. And part of the indicators that will be used there precisely are DRR and CCA indicators. But you know, clearly when we go to Congress, it will not be enough. But we have started, that's why.
It's a good step. Before we proceed with Dr. Lasco, a good friend here, an expert, Dr. Cora Claudio, would like to pose a question. The lady first before Dr. Lasco and then Mayor De Guzman. Dr. Cora Claudio. You can ask your questions. Secretary Padaranga lives in the Philippines and we can talk to him anytime. Mr. Mascri will be leaving and you may ask him about the GAR report.
Thank you very much, Senator Legarda. I have 2 points. One is, I think the challenge is for us to develop risk profiles at the local level. Something that each local community can understand. Although there are efforts to produce all of these hazard assessments and more sophisticated analysis, what we need is something that the local communities can understand and act on. And this can be an iterative process. We start from what is available per community and we just improve it as more sophisticated results become available. And we are trying to do this in a project that we, the Management Association of the Philippines, the Philippine Chamber of Agriculture and Food, Earth Institute Asia, with various private and government organizations like NEDA are trying to do. My second point is that since the UN started to use the term disaster risk reduction, we have been having, we in the society, International Society for Risk Analysis, have been having difficulty using the term. Mainly because, and I addressed this to our guest speaker from UN, mainly because the term risk already includes disaster. And that can be also demonstrated by the report on page X. We have terms like extensive risk, intensive risk, emergent risk, that already include disaster. So embedded in the definition of risk is the term disaster because that's likelihood or probability times adverse consequence. And the problem with using the term is that we get to be focused on disaster and avoiding it. But I think what we need to really focus on is avoiding or reducing the risk, the likelihood that something adverse may happen. And so I hope the UN will rethink the use of this term because I think theoretically it is not really very correct and that a better term will be used in the future. Thank you. Mr. Mascri, would you want to answer? There's a synonym for risk.
On the last point, I mean, risk is risk. I think we all know what risk is. Why we call it disaster risk is to really be specific that we're not talking just about risk in the financial markets or health risks or the many other kind of risks that are out there. We're really talking specifically about the risks associated with hazards such as floods, earthquakes, cyclones, and so on and so forth. So that's why we say disaster risk. I think it's just a way of clarifying the term. If we just said risk management or risk reduction, we could be talking about many other different things.
Maybe hear from Dr. Lasco. Unfortunately, due to limited time, we can only take a few questions.
Thank you very much.
But the Climate Change Committee and Secretary Padaranga and the UNISDR will answer all your questions via email.
Thank you very much, Senator Legarda. And I direct this one comment and question to Dr. Mascri. First of all, as you know that the IPCC is doing the 5th assessment report, even as we speak. And I'm wondering, is the GAR or is the GAR community linked with the IPCC authors to make sure that they are complementary to each other? But the second is a question, and that is, what can you say, Dr. Mascri, about weather-based insurance in agriculture? May we hear your thoughts on this? Thank you.
respect to the first question, the IPCC is going to publish at the end of this year actually a special report on extreme events and how climate change adaptation is linked to disaster risk reduction. So the UNISDR has been very closely associated with the production of that report. I myself am one of the lead authors on the report. So I think there is a good interaction between the two processes. On weather-based insurance, yes, there's, I think, a growing volume of experiences around the world. I think we all know that one of the critical factors linking risk and poverty, particularly in rural areas, is that many farmers in developing countries don't have access to crop insurance at all. So we're looking actually, I think with very positive eyes to the growing number of experiences on index-based parametric insurance. But I think we have to say that so far this is only reaching out to a very, very small percentage of the world's farmers. So it's something which has a long way to go before it really becomes a mass application.
Finally, from a vulnerable LGU, Mayor Del Guzman of Marikina City.
Morning, Senator. Sorry, I just experienced the climate change experience this morning. When I left Marikina at about 8 o'clock, I reached this building at about past 10 o'clock. Then when I left Marikina, I asked our rescue operation how is the water level. It's only about 12 point something in our meter. When I reached Senate, it's already about 14 meters. So in about 2 hours, the volume of rain that experienced this morning. So just like what Congressman Sarmiento said, we have to see a plan, or actually there are commitment already from our national government to study and come up with a plan, a proposal how to have a program or project that will really help our situation in Marikina, and not only Marikina. On our end, we have organized an alliance. We call it Alliance of Seven, wherein for 70 LGUs in the same situation when this kind of climate is experiencing. So for us, we really need to see, especially national government. But on our end, when it comes to disaster risk reduction preparation, we have done our part, and also, of course, our National Council or DRR is also helping us during the time of calamities. So maybe we really need a more permanent solution to this problem of ours.
We're supposed to close, but maybe Secretary Gozon has a question for Mr. Masri. A comment on the presentation.
Thanks, Senator. Now, I just wanted to comment to actually what Congressman Mel and the Mayor said. In relation to the need for, and once the National Climate Change Action Plan is formally adopted, that will be the basis for the local action plans to then proceed. And I mean, to guide the local governments in doing this, the DOST is actually already in the process of preparing 3D maps to precisely map out all the all the river systems in the country, and that's going to be 3D. We need those base maps as a sure basis for barangay level planning, since the geohazard maps of the NGB have already identified the high-risk areas, but that's at 1:50,000. This one will be at the level of the barangay, so you can actually do detailed planning. So in terms of Congress later on reviewing the budget, that's already in the budget of the DOST. In addition to that, what national government is doing is that there are also more rain gauges and weather stations that are being put up, so we really have more reliable data that can help us also in the forecasting that will have to be done so that we are better prepared. But in addition to that, very concretely, in response to what was mentioned in terms of infrastructure, I'm pleased to inform the body that we do have a Secretary of Public Works who fully understands the impacts of climate change. And if you notice in the Philippines, most of our major roads and bridges and airports are by the coastal area. With sea level rise, that's not a workable solution anymore, and therefore he has changed that. All the plans now for all the major roads in the country and airports are going to be inland. And turns out that the economic internal rate of return of inland roads are much, much better. So nandyan na yan, that's already in the works. And he also, as you have probably read, he does not believe in investing all of that over 500 million in flood control alone. Why make it a flood? Let's look at that water as an opportunity. Let's do more upstream water impounding systems. And by doing this, we actually support agriculture. We support the agrarian reform communities up there who don't have water, and especially during the droughts where we will have a source of water. But at the same time, we support the possibility for hydro power because we can use exactly that same water for this. So you can see that under the present administration of President Noynoy, there is convergence in the planning. And again, for those in Congress, when you review the budget, you will see that that's how it's being planned right now. There are many other, we won't have time to talk about what's being done by all the other agencies, but this is precisely how the national government is putting things in place to support concrete efforts on the ground so that we can properly respond, do more disaster risk reduction and climate change adaptation at the same time. Thank you.
Thank you, Bebet. Thank you to all of you. We thank Mr. Mascri. We thank Secretary Padilla and all the members of the Cabinet and the members of the Combatant Corps and the UNISDR and our congressmen, our colleagues from government. Thank you very much. Very simply put, disaster risk reduction makes good economic sense. Thank you.
Yun namin tatlo eh. Kami yung person.